I meditated daily for 30 minutes at least for like 4 years. And I want to give you some advice and ideas on how to actually like stick to meditation. And so if you're a beginner, you're just starting out, or maybe you've like been at it for a while or been like kind of off and on, or just haven't been able to like make it into a habit, this is the video for you. So let's get started. My name is Jackson Kirchis. I'm a former startup executive and Zen monk. I created the world's first major in happiness studies at the University of Alabama, taught a course on happiness at the University of Alabama, and now I own a couple businesses where I speak and train. I work with the military, private sector, etc., and individuals, but all of it is around happiness, mindfulness, meditation, etc. And so I want to I'm not going to keep you long. This is like a very, very practical how-to guide. It honestly might not even be that entertaining. It's literally just as practical as possible. If you watch this, you will stick to meditation, okay? So I'm going to take you through like basically 5 steps to help you build out a plan to make your meditation practice a habit, okay? And that I think is like the missing piece. So often like there's tons of videos of like guided meditations all over YouTube, and people be like, oh, you should meditate every day or whatever. But like, how do you actually intentionally do that, right? It's like New Year's resolutions. Like everyone sets up a New Year's resolution every year that they're going to read a bunch of books and lose 10 pounds and start working out more and whatever. And it's like, it doesn't actually happen. So I'm going to walk you through how, based on a book I wrote, how to stick to meditation. I wrote this while living with Zen monks, and sort of combination of habit formation, the science, and then the art of mindfulness and meditation. So start with number 1 is you need to define why you're even going to bother doing this. Like, why is mindfulness or meditation important to you personally? And creating like an emotionally compelling reason why you're going to stick to it. So you may consider this. Okay, what are we even talking about when we talk about like mindfulness or meditation? Mindfulness is the ability to be where your feet are. Okay, it's ability to be present. Right? If you think about it, like so much of the time we're not living our lives, we're living our mind. So your mind is like thinking, oh, I have all those emails I need to look at, and what am I going to eat for dinner? Or, oh, the other day that thing happened and I'm still upset about it. It's like, no, life is right here, but we're time traveling in our own minds. And so this is cultivating our capacity for awareness. In the Zen language, I really love they use the phrase, becoming intimate with the present moment. And so why are we doing this? Obviously, it's going to be up to you to decide that personally, but a lot of it has to do with wanting to just not miss our life, right? This is becoming intimate. Remember that word I just said, becoming intimate with your own experience of your day-to-day life, because you're actually there where your feet are instead of living in your mind. Okay, so that ability to be present, to be focused, to be aware, to me is like kind of foundational to live life in the way you want to live it and not just have it go past on autopilot. Okay. But for whatever your reason is, maybe it's like, I want to have better focus. I want to be more available for the people around me. I want to have lower stress. Like, be very clear on why and literally write it down. And it should be like emotionally compelling. If you're like, oh, well, this guy, by the way, I'm not doing this, but if like, oh, this random guy on YouTube said I should meditate 30 minutes a day. That's not a very good reason to do anything. Certainly not because someone on YouTube said you should do it, right? Like, it's got to be important to you emotionally. Why are you doing this? Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to understand something kind of nuanced about meditation. Actually, think of it this way. Every time you fail, you've actually succeeded. And what I mean by that is, I feel like the number 1 reason people don't stick to meditation, or they like try it and fall off, or they never get into it, is they think like, oh, I was sitting there and my mind was like racing and wandering and I couldn't focus, and so I can't do it. Like meditation, like it's just not for me. I can't do it. And it's like, no, like that's it. Okay. Every time you fail, your mind like wanders off, right? You're trying to pay attention to your breathing, let's say, and you get distracted. Every time you notice the mind has wandered and bring it back to the present moment, like that is the thing. Like that is the meditation. You just noticed that your awareness was somewhere else, okay, usually in your mind, in the future, in the past, daydreaming, remembering, whatever, you notice it and you bring it back to the present moment awareness. That capacity to regulate your attention is what meditation is. It's a continuous process of failing and getting distracted, and the mind wanders, and you keep bringing it back and you keep bringing it back. I use the example, it's like, imagine like curling a weight, like lifting weights. Okay, you might be in the gym for an hour, but it's literally like when you lift the weight like that you're strengthening that muscle. So it is with meditation. You're sitting on that cushion or doing your yoga, right? There's many different ways you can meditate. Every time the mind wanders off from the object of your focus and you bring it back, right? That's like a muscle. You just strengthen your awareness, your focus, your concentration, your attentiveness muscle. Okay? And so I want you to have that attitude that whether you're going to do, and I'll talk about a few different options you can do for meditation, but whatever they are, the central process, okay? Mindfulness is kind of like the outcome. It's like getting faster or, improving your cardiovascular capacity. Meditation is the training, okay? It's like going for the run. We're trying to improve our mindfulness, okay, or cultivate a capacity for mindfulness, which is that ability to be where your feet are. And the way we're doing that is through training. And the way that we train with meditation is we're trying to place our attention on something in the present moment. So stretching, if you're doing yoga, like walking, if you're doing mindful walking, your breathing, if you're just sitting there, your body, it could be like a visual thing or a mantra, many ways to do it. But the common thread is that all of them, you're trying to sustain your awareness or attention on that object. And every time you get distracted, you bring it back. You get distracted, you bring it back. And that is the process of meditation. So again, every time you feel like you've failed, you should actually celebrate. You should be like, oh, I just did the thing. And that, if you have that mindset, you're going to stick to it and you're going to notice the results and it's going to be awesome. And because like I said, so many people get discouraged. Like, oh, I can't meditate. No, you can. That's why it's hard. It's work. Okay, it's training. Number 3 is we need to just understand how behavior change actually works, and this has to do with habit formation. I may try. I don't know if this is big enough that you'll be able to see this, but I'll show you. So it starts with you need to have kind of a commitment to do a certain behavior, and it needs to have a compelling reason why. And so you need to have that intention, right? That is the start. Intention, which is kind of what we're doing here. It's like, I have an intention, I'm going to, and I don't mean that in like a manifesting magical way, but just literally like, okay, I have an intention that I'm committed to, I'm going to practice my meditation every day. Okay. Now, that is not enough because what your brain is going to do is say like, bullshit. Right? Like, oh, you said you were going to start running all the 3 times a week and then you didn't do it. Or you were going to start reading 10 pages a day and then you didn't do it. Right? You need to actually take action. Okay? So think of it like this. You choose the type of person you want to be and then prove it to yourself with small actions. Every behavior or every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Okay? So you're intentional about your identity and what you do. Then you take an action. You prove it. You say, I'm committed to being more mindful. I'm committed to meditation. And then you actually do it. And then here's what kind of gets crazy is you create something called self-efficacy, which means that you have proof. Like you have evidence that you actually did the thing you said, right? Because again, so often it's like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you don't do it. And your brain's like, you're a freaking liar. But in this case, you do the thing and then you have evidence, you have proof, which increases your self-efficacy. That's a psychology term. It sounds a little complicated, but it really just means your capacity to follow through on the things you say you're going to do. So then guess what? We have a magical little cycle here that is kind of hard to read. Oh no, you can kind of see it. You should turn the lights down a little bit. So you have intention and then you do the action or the behavior, and that creates that proof and that self-efficacy. Then that reinforces your intention, which makes the next action more likely, which then gives you more self-efficacy, and it becomes the spiral. So think about it with the meditation example. You say, okay, I have that intention, and then every day for 5 days, right? First thing in the morning, you do your 15-minute thing, even though it's hard. You show up, you just got all that proof, and you have much more self-efficacy now. And you say, shoot, I said I was going to start my meditation New Year's resolution. I just did 5 out of 6 days this week. You know what? I can do this. I'm really going to stick to it. You just renewed that cycle. Okay. So all behaviors work like this. I could do an entire video on it. If you want one, let me know and I will. But that is a core idea, is you need to start with small actions consistently to build that spiraling effect of self-efficacy where you say, I have an intention, I do the action or the behavior, that gives me proof or evidence that I will actually follow through on it, which is what self-efficacy is all about. And then that renews my intention, which makes the next action more likely and renews that whole process. Okay, so start small and consistent, focus on not putting up zeros and just building momentum with really, really small habits. Okay, one small daily habit that needs to, there's another important quote, you need to have a habit before you can build on it. You need to have a habit before you can scale it. Okay, so that's step number 3, is thinking in terms of tiny habits, thinking in terms of one small vote every day so that I can build that momentum cycle. Okay. Now this is where the rubber meets the road. Step number 4 is literally just make a plan. Okay. So I'm going to try not to be like too in your face here, but it's so funny how like obvious this is, but we overlook it. It's kind of like, you ever run into someone and you're like, oh, like your old friend, like, oh, we should catch up soon. Oh yeah, it was good to see you, dude. We should catch up soon. Yeah, we'll catch up soon. And then what happens? So if you simply create an implementation intention, that's the term from the like psychology literature, when, where, and for how long are you going to do this? Like there's studies on this. It will literally 2 or 3x your compliance or your follow through. Okay. And so very simple formula. I'll give you 2. One of them is just a time trigger. And the other is the Tiny Habits formula from a guy named BJ Fogg. He's a professor at Stanford. He has a Tiny Habits program. If you want to ignore everything I say and just do his Tiny Habits program, that's fine. It's a wonderful program. So what it is like this. Okay. Remember when, where, and for how long. And so you say, okay, I'm going to recommend you do it in the morning. And the reason for that is twofold. First, that's going to set up your trajectory throughout the day to be better because you're starting your day off with mindfulness, with building self-efficacy, which with sticking to the commitment you've made to yourself to be more present. Okay. And so then think about like a small shift at the beginning of your day. Over the course of your day, that shift gets like bigger and bigger. The second is there's just way less room for things to go wrong in the morning, right? Because by time like the end of your workday comes around, you're like, oh, I still have to check that email. And then, oh, I have to run over to pick up this thing. And then, oh, I was trying to go to the gym, but I don't know if I have time. And there's like a million different things that can go wrong. You have way more of a like locus of control over your day first thing in the morning. Okay. So you got morning for 2 reasons. And here's the 2 recipes. So one is just a time. At 7 a.m., I will do my meditation in blank spot for however long. I'm going to make a recommendation here that you start with 10 minutes. No more, maybe less, but probably not less. Just 10 minutes. Okay, and the reason for that is, like I said, if you try to do an hour a day, like it's just not going to happen. If you try to do 40 minutes a day, it's not going to happen. You need to start with something so easy. And once you do like 3 weeks, then you can say, all right, I'm going to add 5 minutes. I'm going to add 10 minutes. Just start with 10 minutes, okay? It's just so much easier. So every day at a set time, you can set an alarm, put a reminder in your calendar, whatever, or this is where you can layer it in with the Tiny Habits formula. Pick a behavior you do every single morning, and you just go, after I blank, I will blank, okay? So after I get out of the shower and put on my clothes, I will meditate for 10 minutes in my spot. After I turn on the coffee maker and get the morning paper, outdated example, I will meditate for 10 minutes. So in both cases, right, you have that trigger, either a time or a behavior. And remember I said about the where. This is like subtle, but very important. I have like a spot right over here where I have a little square cushion on the ground and then like a round cushion and a little bench. You need to have a designated space, which sounds like way over the top, but it's actually super important because a lot of times you have to create like a psychological association. Like, have you ever had this feeling of like trying to work out at home versus like if you just go to the gym or like go to a yoga class or go to whatever? Like, it's so much easier once you're actually there, right? And so you want to have a designated space associated with the meditation so that if you're feeling like, oh, I really don't want to do this, you can just like be like, all right, all I got to do is just sit on the spot and I'm just going to go to my spot and see if it feels easier. And promise you it will once you do it. So this can be a little outdoor area, literally just a corner of your room where you put a little meditation cushion, which, by the way, I'll even show you this. Like something like this, okay, where you can sit on it. They make little benches if you're tall like me. You just sit on have a chair, whatever. But you want to be able to sit in a space that's relatively quiet, no distractions, and you have some sort of timing device so that you can do your 10 minutes. I have other videos on my channel, like more on the technique of how to sit. I'll give you like a quick primer, just because we're watching this, but like you sit in a chair, okay? Not rocket surgery, as Britney Spears said. You sit on a cushion or a little bench. You can look up Seiza bench, S-E-I-Z-A. Seiza bench is one where you sit on your knees and you do it in kind of an alert posture, or you have a cushion, okay? Basically, what you want to think about is both your knees, if you're on a cushion like that, or on the ground. Your butt or your hips should be above your knees. That's the most common mistake. So you want your hips above your knees so your rear end is a little bit elevated. That's going to help with blood flow. And then think of just a string pulling up through your spine. So it's sort of like, not like this, but just like an alert, upright, yet relaxed posture. And then people always ask, what should I do with my hands? Like, I don't know, you're not in a freaking presentation. It doesn't matter. But if you really want to be Zen, you put your hands kind of like this. It's the cosmic mudra, and then just flip them over so that they're resting like that in your lap. And if not, just place them on your quads or on your knees. So again, I have more in-depth on my channel. You can look up how to sit and whatnot, but there you go. That's the fourth step, okay? So you have a clear implementation plan in the morning at a certain time or after a certain behavior, 10 minutes every single day in the morning, where you're going to do it. It's all planned out. You can write this down, put it in your calendar. It's like, boom, like I have the plan. There's no room for debate. Like this is key. I learned about this too in a podcast from a neuroscientist, Dr. Andrew Huberman, where he talks about verb-based goals. So instead of saying like, oh, this year I'm going to meditate, or this year I'm going to be more mindful, it's like, no, you need to turn that into a specific behavior-based or verb-based goal, which is I will sit, or I will walk, or I will do yoga, or I will do my thing, my meditation, for 10 minutes at this time every day. Boom. That's it. Then the last step is tracking and support, which means you have to have a measure in place in order to actually manage things and know how well you're doing. And when I say how well you're doing, I don't mean you're trying to be like enlightened, but I just mean like, are you actually showing up? So you can have a glass that you put paper clips in. You can have a jar of marbles. You can literally just have a piece of paper that you make check marks on, whatever. I personally have a little, it's right over here, like journal that I leave on my pillow so that I look at it every night. And inside, there's like a checklist of habits. I have several. So like you can just do that. You have a spreadsheet. I don't care, a daily reminder that you check off. But the idea here is that every 2 weeks or every month you can look and see how well you're doing. Be like, hey, this month I made a commitment to do this every day. Let me look back at my notes or my calendar or my jar. Oh, I have 25 paper clips. 25 out of 30, that's great. Or you have 10 and you're like, well, I need to change things up here and renew my commitment. Okay, so you have some tracking and just some support. You know, I encourage you to maybe get one friend, not more than that, just one friend or person who you maybe do this a challenge with or build the habit with. You can be accountability partners. Join a local Zen center or community, or just like online people, you know, follow around with me. Like just look up meditators that you like, buy a book, whatever. Just have some other people there to like, whether it's literal people like a community, a friend, or just an author who you're sort of like with them through the book. Just some support basically to stick to it, right? Those two kind of go together. You need to be able to measure how you're progressing and how much you're showing up for accountability, and then just try to get supports around you to make it easier. And on that, so I'll touch on that final note again, but that's really the steps, right? Literally just write down like right now, why are you doing this? Make a commitment, okay? Then remember what we're doing here, which is training mindfulness. Every time you fail, you succeeded. Start with a small, consistent thing to build momentum. Just focus on not missing. Focus on your ass on the cushion every day, or on your little mindful walk every day, or your 10 minutes of yoga every day, whatever your thing is. Okay, and then you have a written specific plan in your calendar or in just somewhere of like, after I blank, I will blank, or at this time in the morning, I will do 10 minutes. And then you got your tracking system and your support and accountability. And if you do all that, listen to me, if you do it, that's why I made this video and wrote this book. If you do all that, like right now, you will stick to meditation. All you have to do is build the plan and understand the stuff and follow the steps, and then just get your ass on the cushion every day for 10 minutes and just do it for 3 months, okay? And just show up every day. If you don't have 10 minutes to like be more present in your life, you don't have a life. So just 10 minutes every day and just see what happens. You may get to the end and you're like, dude, why did I? He specifically said not to listen to some random YouTuber about meditation. And I did meditation for 10 minutes every day for 3 months and it was a total waste. Like, that was dumb. I think you will not have that reaction, okay? But you might, and that's fine. But just make a commitment to stick to it and just see if it shifts how you show up in your own life, and maybe even how other people engage with you in your life. At the time of this video, it's early December 2024. So I have this book out, which you can find on Amazon and wherever, SticktoMeditation.live. I'm launching a New Year's challenge. I'm going to do one every year. So if you're watching this video in like 2028, hopefully the world hasn't ended. It might. But if you are, we'll do it this New Year's too. And so you can find my info and follow along with me. But this year, for 2025, that's the year. Yeah. We're kicking off with a 30-day challenge. Go to SticktoMeditation.live, SticktoMeditation.live. Links down below. We're going to do a 30-day challenge. It's basically free. I'm going to ask that you donate to my social enterprise, the Happiness PhD Project. It's like $5 a month. You can cancel whenever. If you want to get this, that's great too. But if you read that and if you do that 30 days, both, like, you will build a meditation practice and mindfulness practice that lasts. So I hope you'll give an opportunity. Give us a shot. Again, all that stuff's down below. I thank you for watching. I talk a lot about meditation and mindfulness on this channel, but it's really like a broader thing I'm doing called the Happiness PhD Project, which again is a social enterprise. It's a independent learning and research initiative focused on the art and science of happiness. And so you can check out my channel. Here's another video that YouTube suggests you'll like. I really thank you for watching. This has been Jackson Kirchis, and I'll see you next time.